Here we go, y'all. Here we go, y'all. Come on, come on. Here we go. Hi, and welcome to Hardly Working Through It, the show after the show where we ask the big, hard questions. I'm Kellie.
And I'm SP.
You're welcome.
I was like, is she going to list big hard questions right now?
No.
It's a whole new intro to a whole almost new show.
I couldn't remember what the intro was. That's my new intro.
Pretty good. Every day, every time you're bringing something new to the
You're
podcast.
welcome.
I love that about you.
What big, hard question are we asking today?
Well, it's 2024. It's the new year. And the big hard question is, what are we all doing? Is everyone okay? Are we okay?
Not the question.
No, it's do resolutions matter?
Hell no. I'm just kidding.
Goodbye, everybody. Hope you spend your week hardly working.
No.
No, we're going to talk about some New Year's resolutions, whether it makes any kind of sense, all that kind of stuff, and talk a little bit about what we do in our own lives in terms of, do we have resolutions? Are they something different? Tune in to find out.
Ooh.
But since this is only the second episode of Hardly Working Through It, first of all...
Where we ask the big, hard questions.
Hey, this is supposed to be more serious. This isn't time for
sorry.
chuckles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, impossible. I will say this. I apologize for the audio. I know we did it a month ago when we did our first two episodes of the season. We had an apology at the beginning, but I promise, hopefully this one will be better.
It will be.
Sound better.
I sound great.
So what we did on the first episode of Hardly Working Through It was, before we jumped into the question at hand, we went through three questions
about ourselves
to get to know us a little bit better. So I've got a few of those if you're ready for it.
Learn about me. You ready?
All of these questions are which one of us is more likely to do X, Y, or Z.
Oh.
Yes. So the first one is, who is more likely to order dessert?
Me.
100%.
Unless
She's
it's
a sweet queen.
A pie or something fruity, then him. If it's a pie, he'll probably order it.
Let's talk about how I changed your life.
With
On
key lime
this
pie?
show, I talked about key lime pies,
Yeah.
which I'll admit I don't remember doing, but it does sound like me. Ryan, your brother, brought a key lime pie to Thanksgiving.
And everyone loved it.
Everyone was like, is this what pies are? I'm like, yes, this is what pies are. And so we have a almost whole key lime pie at our house currently still.
Yeah.
It's pretty freaking great. But we're not talking about pies.
talking
The
about
greatest dessert arguably ever. We're talking about every other dessert. And
Yeah, it's
you
me.
are going to be the one who's going to order it.
It's me.
Hit me with your favorite desserts.
Tiramisu is pretty far up there. If it's a good
Boom.
one,
Yep.
it has to be good. Some of them aren't so good, but that one, I'll always get a tiramisu.
That's an out and about dessert. Hit me with a at-home dessert.
Cookies.
Oh.
Nestle Toll House cookies.
Now, do you prefer
Break and bake.
shake and bake, baby?
The ones that you can break and then put on down. You
Now,
bake 'em.
do you prefer the taste
Dipped in
of
milk
that
or ice cream?
over the taste of your homemade cookies, or is it also the ease of which you can make it happen?
I have not found a homemade cookie recipe that I like more than Nestle Toll House cookies.
Yeah. Wow, that's really surprising.
Not for lack of trying.
Not a
tried.
sponsor. Yeah.
But they're just easy. They always taste the same and so good.
It's like McDonald's.
Yeah, it's
Not the best burger you've ever had,
but it's always
but
going to
it's
be
gonna taste the
consistent
same.
as long as you're in the Americas.
That's not true. It's still pseudo. Remember
Trust me.
I was going to call it Britain.
Italy.
No, London.
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 It was
They had some
Italy
pretty
that I
similar
remember
stuff.
that the chicken one was bad, but the beef one was good. It was like
Look,
real beef though.
I hope you'll join us on our new show, McDonald's Across the Globe.
Oh my gosh. No, but I'm the one who's going to order dessert.
Yes,
If
you
it's
are.
chocolate, I'm probably going to get it. If it's tiramisu, always going to get it, or any type or sort of that. Ice cream, no, I'm not going to get ice cream out and about normally.
Because it's boring, unless it's
boring.
salt and straw.
Yeah, or like a
something
boozy
fun.
drink of sorts, which I will
Like
do.
a Beauty and Essex.
Yeah, like
bougie
milkshake shot.
Boozy milkshake shot.
Yeah, but it's going to be me. 99% of the time.
I'm a salty man. No, I'm more savory than I am sweet in terms of taste buds, but I am very sweet in real life. The next
true.
one, though, I'm sure the tables will turn.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Who's most likely to give in and eat the last slice of pizza?
You.
I am a grazer.
You are.
I'm a snacker.
You and Brooklyn both.
We just make our way through life. A little bit here, a little bit there,
Yeah.
little snack.
We've got to
What
set
should we get?
rules. After
should.
4 o'clock, they're not allowed to snack anymore.
Well, put it on our resolution conversation for 2 minutes from now. But I am definitely the one who will not just eat the last piece of pizza, but like my favorite meal that Kelly makes right now.
Hooray. curry.
Yes,
chicken.
and maybe ever is curry chicken. And so I make the rice. She does everything else because all I have to do is like put rice in a rice maker. And I'm like, I'm helping.
It's so helpful though.
Yeah, it's something. But we'll both eat our portions, and I'm always the one who takes the dishes to the kitchen.
He'll go up and he'll sneak some bites.
Yeah, I'll be like, just a little nibble, just a little bit more. And then by the time I've got food to put away in the fridge, it's like a quarter of what it was.
Because I always like to make extra so we can have, another meal. And I'll be like, wow, it's a lot less than I thought. And he's like, yeah, it really is.
Crazy, right?
Crazy how that happened.
Crazy.
We must have eaten more. You must not have made as much.
Who came in here and ate all this? I don't know.
He's the one notoriously like, we'll be getting ready for bed. Okay, I'm going to go brush my teeth. But okay, I'll be there soon. And I've like brushed my teeth, washed my face, done my nighttime routine. I'm in bed and he'll walk into the bedroom finally and be like, okay, I'm going to go brush my teeth. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, don't know what he was doing. And then I'll wake up in the morning and be like, oh, he had like a bowl of cereal, or he took some bites out of the ice cream carton, or oh, he ate the last of the blah, blah, blah. You fill in the blank.
Oh, yeah.
I must make food that's just so good.
You make the best cereal.
Well, not
And
cereal,
ice
but
cream.
curry, tacos.
You do make great food. And I do get snacky. It's true.
That's
I
fair.
was raised
You
a
and Brooklyn
snacker.
are the same. Like it's
One
the same.
of the only times that I remember and know that I was sleepwalking was in a house I lived in Woodland Hills. I was probably in middle school.
Yeah.
And I sleepwalked all the way downstairs to the kitchen, into the pantry, got a box of
First night.
cereal, and brought it up to my room and went back to sleep. And I had a vague recollection of it. And I woke up the next day and there was a box of cereal that had been opened upside down in my room. I was like, yeah, I did that for sure.
Yeah. While I was sleepwalking.
I'm a snacky sleeper.
Yeah.
And a snacky individual.
Yeah. That's
Last one for the day. I'm not sure what will fall on this. Who is most likely to stick up for themselves when they know that they're right?
me.
Tell me why.
Oh, wow. Tell you why. Well, it depends. Is it with you or is it just in general? Because I am a very right and wrong person. So if I feel like I'm right, I'll probably stick up for myself. Although I am more likely to stick up for somebody else that I care about than I am to stick up for myself. Like if somebody is talking crap about you, I'm in it. Like you don't even know him.
Is there a lot
He's
of
the
that?
best.
A lot of people doing that?
No, but I'm just saying,
good.
like for the example, I think about in high school a lot. Like if one friend was talking crap about another friend, like I was the one that was like, hey,
Cut it out.
yeah, this person's great, blah, 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 whatever, you know?
Goody two shoes.
But if it was me, I would just be like, you're right. That's
So what
not
about
true.
in context
But now
of,
I think I'm better.
of us? And I don't even mean intention. How about like driving? Like when
What do
you
you
know an exit's coming up,
Oh, I'll tell you.
or you know that I didn't hit the exit that's
I'll tell
coming
you.
up. That happened today.
I'll tell you. I didn't tell you about the exit day though. You did that on your own. No, I'll tell you. Be like, hey, you got to be in the left-hand lane.
Yeah. I think
Turn
I'm more
left.
passive out of the two of us.
You are. It just depends. You're more direct when it comes to like apologizing for things, or if you feel like you've done something wrong, even if I haven't, you'll be and with Brooklyn too, you'll be like, hey, I just want you to know that when I did that, I was wrong, or I told you I'd do this and I didn't. Like you are that person where I'm like, I'm not going to apologize until you apologize to me first.
And that's why we work.
It's very much ingrained
Hardly.
in me. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of it. It's step one.
I would say this is that like when it comes to Brooklyn, if there is like a matter of right and wrong, and I guess I can be loosey-goosey on this too, but I'll usually be like, hey, I know that you think you said this or think you did this. I'm telling you, me and mom are here who both heard it or saw it or whatever, and that's not what happened.
Yeah.
Because I see it more as like, this is the teaching that I'm supposed to do for a kid. When it comes to other adults,
Yeah.
I'm more like, I don't have that part of me that it went away with the competitive stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need you to know that I'm right. And
Yeah.
not just you, just people.
Well, yeah, but we've also talked about this on the show, and I'll bring it back to that. You and I, now because of you, ask this question: is it right or wrong, or is it just my preference? So even if you are quote unquote right in a situation, and that person doesn't know or doesn't believe you, I think you filter it through like, is it right or is it wrong that they don't know I'm right, or is it just my preference for them to know? Or it's
Right.
my preference. Well, then it's not really that big of a
Yeah,
deal.
that's the ego. That's competitiveness. That's
Yeah.
all that stuff being like, you need to know that I'm right or
Yeah.
else it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think that we only really stand up for it when it matters. Like if another parent or whoever, and not one of the parents, but like if another mom's parent or a kid or something is talking about Brooklyn in a way, like I think you and I every time would be like, no, like that's not true. That's not what
Right.
happened.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't really feel like I don't know. It depends.
Yeah. And another thing that we say a lot in our life is truth finds you when you're ready.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter if someone doesn't believe that you're right about something, but you know that you're right about it. You can tell them forever. They're not going to believe it until they believe it.
Yeah. And you get more honey or more.
Oh my God, we said this on the
Bees with
podcast
honey.
already. Yeah, I think it's
my
that
goodness.
one. We messed it up then too.
Yeah. It's me because I'm bad at that type of stuff. And I'll admit it. That's okay. But like I was thinking about it in terms of like gigs too.
Yeah.
Like if the client or somebody ever came up to us and was like, this is wrong, da 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 da. Like my response is probably not going to be like, no, it's right. I'm probably going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like let's look at it together. Let me see like how do you want it to be? And 99% of the time they'll be like, oh, you already had it that way. Oh, I'm so sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
Versus me being aggressively like, actually, no, this is the way that we did it. And I've only ever had to do that a couple of times, and it's never been with the actual client. It's always been with like auxiliary people that come in the booth that think that they are paying for my time. And I'm like, no, this is
they're
like
the client.
The client specifically asked for this thing. So I'm going to hear you, but I'm also not going to do what you're asking me to do.
When you were describing the client in the situation, like at a gig, it did remind me of a very strong feeling that I have where I do stick up for myself.
Okay.
If I get blamed for something that I either didn't do professionally or was literally someone else dropped the ball.
Oh, yeah.
And I can prove it.
Yeah.
I am the dude who will be like,
here's the
and
email.
as you can see on the email that I sent to you 2 weeks ago where it asked this question, like I will do that.
I'll do that too.
But that's more to be like, hey, it's not about right or wrong. You just need to know that thing that you're accusing me of, it's not accurate. I guess that is like a right or wrong, but it's more like, I took the time to try to figure this out.
Yeah.
Like it was actually you who didn't give me the information or whatever it was.
Yeah. I'll do the same thing too.
Because I think that has to do with a professional reputation as well.
Yeah. So it's different. It's like there's something that you could lose. People could think like poorly of you.
Yeah. And
or of your character, which is a big deal for you, I would say.
It's a big deal for me personally. It's a big deal in the industry. It's like the only thing you have is your integrity and your skills, but there's so many talented people.
So
it's the only way to stand out is be a good, talented person.
That's true.
To take it back to the heart of the question, though, I don't ever feel like I need to stand up for myself with you. Hardly ever in our life together.
That's right. Just kidding. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Because you always know I'm right.
Yeah.
No, we just speak each other's languages. And I think that I can think of a couple times where we've had heated conversation in conflict that you've felt like you've had to do that for yourself. But I can count that on one hand.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So I think maybe you're more likely, but the truth is when it comes to us in terms of a relationship, neither of us really ever feels like we have to stand up for ourselves.
Yeah, I'm more of a protector, and we know that. And it doesn't get us into conflict, but like even with certain professional relationships that you've had, like I'll get more upset about it than you will, like off
air,
off camera, but not here. But I mean, like someone might text you something or get an email, and I'll get more upset, and you're normally the one talking me off the ledge of like, it's
I was fine until you were mad about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. And it depends. There was a company once that this was on our top knot, so we didn't talk
from 2022
that didn't pay us for like 6 months.
Boy, that was a
and
lot.
It was the first time that I ever dealt with that professionally, and like my voicemails got progressively more stern as I went along. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, like, you going to pay us? I didn't say it like that. I'm very professional, I promise.
Yeah, and this wasn't it was a substantial amount of money that they were ignoring.
And not just us. We found out later that it was more than just us. There was a whole other company.
A lot of other people were owed a lot more money.
We were owed, very little comparatively.
Yeah, there was one company that was owed about
$500,000, over $500,000.
$750,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's $750,000 of $1 million.
$750,000.
That's a lot of money to not pay.
Yeah, and I was like, thank goodness she paid me my little chunk of change.
Yeah.
Sorry to you guys.
We'll take our $12. Speaking of telemarketers on HBO Max, now just Max.
Don't watch
Solid episode and a half, and then the last episode and a half really falls off. But
don't watch it.
Speaking of people not getting the money that they give.
Oh, yeah.
It's what it's all about.
That's true.
Anyway, let's transition a little bit because it's 2024.
Back to resolutions.
It's new year, new you. What are you doing to change who you were? Because clearly you weren't good enough in 2023. Now we have to become better. We have to change everything about ourselves. Put a list of 10 aspirative things we want to change just so we can feel like a failure next year.
Isn't it weird? We should have looked into why New Year's resolutions started.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe next year.
Yeah, I didn't think about that till right now. Well, I kind of thought about it, but then I didn't. Lazy.
Well, I can't tell you why they actually started, but I understand.
New year, new start.
Well, that's the thing is we as humans like to have benchmarks and beginning, middles, and ends of things, of stories. Like that's kind of how we're wired. This is just another like cool checkpoint. Like it would make sense. Let's start on the first of the year. Oh, we're going to take a month off of drinking. You don't do it on the 7th. You do it on the first day of the next month or whatever your resolution is.
Yeah.
It gives you like a start line and a finish line. So I understand why people would do it. The real question that we've got to tackle is, does it matter? Do people hold to their resolutions? Is there a better way to do this?
I have some thoughts. Is that a question?
Tune in next week for Kelly's thoughts. No, tell me. We'll just start digging into it.
You just said this, and we say this. Truth finds you when you're ready. I think New Year's resolutions are similar. I think I think there are certain things in life that we're told this is what you do.
Yeah.
You know, like you open up Christmas presents on Christmas morning, and Santa's going to come, or you make a New Year's resolution every year, or 4th of July, you go and you watch fireworks. It's like just what you do.
Right.
It's the thing that you do. But no one ever stops to ask why or if it really matters. I think New Year's resolutions can be really powerful and really great if you actually want to do that and if it actually makes sense and you want to make a change in your life. But most people do it because it's just the thing that you do. You make a New Year's resolution. Everyone's going to ask you at the New Year's party, what's your New Year's resolution this year? You know, and for most people, it's the same thing every year. I want to lose weight. I want to get in shape. I want to... I don't know, fill in the blank. It's mostly those things. I want to eat better. Like that's normally what it is. I don't think that you and I look at New Year's resolutions that way. While some of those things can be on our list of things that like are inclusive, I don't think that we're like, yeah, we're going to like it's going to be the year that I'm fit or like the year that I make it. Like we tend to have words, although last year we didn't have a word, which was hard for me, but we tend to have words that were like, this is the word of the year. And so everything we do.
We've had words in the past years that are grow or growth. Invest
expand
was one. Expand, yeah. Which doesn't mean like, if I heard invest, I'd be like, oh, they mean like money.
But that's
part of it. But the other part is investing in relationships or investing in our business or ourselves. Yeah. So we try to take an overarching word to define the word, the year in the vision rather than just resolutions. You mentioned a couple of common resolutions. I want to get fit. I want to
eat better,
whatever it is. I think all those things are great. And I won't get
100%.
Let me back up a little bit. This is one of those weird traditions that I really like that we do as people. Like dressing up in costume and knocking on neighbors' houses for candy is kind of stupid. Having one time a year where you're like, how can I try to make my life better? That's a pretty healthy thing to do. The problem is people have these grandiose goals that are far, far, far easier to fail at than they are to accomplish.
That's true.
In fact, a lot of goals don't even have like a finish line.
Yeah.
I want to get in better shape. How do you know if you've done it? Is it that you've seen a transformation? Is it that people have talked about how much better you look? Is it losing a pant size? Like you have to really define it. So that's goals. That's what I would say is like, I think it's all good. I think giving yourself checkpoints in small goals towards a goal is one of my favorite ways to do it. I'll spare you the whole SMART goals and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things we do on the podcast is I break it up into, at first it was 10 episode seasons. Now it's going to be 20 episode seasons.
Wow.
Because we have 2 episodes a week.
Dang.
Yeah, we're already at, this might be 37. I don't even know. So much content. But here's the deal. The reason I did that is because it let me go, okay, well, we just finished a season. Like that's an accomplishment rather than if I was like, have a successful podcast.
What does that mean?
What does that even mean? So I think, like let's take the getting in shape. Do something that's reasonable. Say like, I want to get into shape. Here's my benchmarks or my checkpoints.
Yeah.
I want to get into shape by taking a walk around the neighborhood twice a week. You do that for a few weeks. That's great. I want to add 10 sit-ups on the days I'm not walking, whatever it is. And so you start being like, yeah, I'm doing it. You'll start to feel stronger. You'll start to do more, but you'll have those checkpoints that you need to keep you from atrophying and being like, I'll just never get there.
Yeah.
I think exercise or eating is another great one. Or here's a tough one too. We'll do eating and we'll do smoking together. A lot of people want to quit smoking.
That's true.
No one's ever like, it's a new year, time to start smoking.
Let's start it.
But you want to quit it. If you know anything about stopping smoking, it's very hard to do
very
cold
difficult.
turkey. You usually have to wean yourself off
I
of
wouldn't
it.
know. I said that as if I was like, it's very difficult.
Yeah, I've
as
never
if I
smoked
knew.
either.
Yeah.
But you generally have to wean yourself off of it.
Yeah.
So maybe if you were doing that, we'll take that example and the food example. Instead of being like no more cigarettes or no more fast food, wean yourself off of it. It's this many less cigarettes.
I'm going from 2 packs a day to 1 pack a day.
Exactly. Or fast food to take that, or eating better. Let's say if you're eating out every day, make it easier. Be like, I can eat out up to 4 times a week. That sounds astronomical still. That's great. Because in a week or two, once you've hit that, you're going to go down to 2 times and then 1 time and then 1 time a month. And you can start hitting those moments.
Yeah.
And that will certainly push you further into the year with your goals rather than just being like, I'm stopping or I'm starting this right now and it'll just be what it is. Sorry, it seemed like I was cutting you off.
No, not at all. No. I agree with you though. I think having a goal is what keeps people doing their resolutions.
Yeah.
And most people don't.
You would say that again?
And most people don't make a goal. They just...
Oh, most people don't. Yes. Yeah. Well, I think it's because it's so much simpler to just say like, I want to lose 20 pounds.
I mean, that's still a goal. I just want you to know.
But can I tell you, it's a discouraging goal. Because for most people, if not all people, that's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
And you're going to ebb and flow and fluctuate depending on what day it is or what's happening in your life.
Yeah.
If your goal is to drop 20 pounds.
By the end of the year.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Honestly, I wouldn't even do that. My ultimate goal would be I want to lose 20 pounds. My first goal is to lose 1 pound. My second goal, once I've hit that, is to lose 2 and then 3 and then 5 and start doing that. And you're like, oh my gosh, look at what I've done, rather than just like, it's June and I've been eating healthy and I'm still only halfway to 20 pounds.
Yeah, and you have to give yourself freedom for your resolutions to change as you go through the year, because what started off as a 20-pound goal maybe turns into, man, I care more about gaining muscle than I do about losing weight.
Sure.
So it has to be able to change.
Yes, being able to change and adapt is really important. I will say the more rigid you are with stuff, the faster you get results.
Oh, yeah.
That's just not necessarily practical for most people in their life.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what
true.
I mean?
Go ahead.
No, you say it.
I was going to ask you a question, so keep going
for
with
it.
your thought. I was going to ask, with all of that then, do you have a New Year's resolution?
So many, and they're all impossible. No, I do have some things on my 2024 list.
Okay.
That I'll throw out there, because I also think that there's power in saying things out loud and putting them out into the world. The first one has to do with what we're talking about. I had written a healthy meditation practice.
Okay.
But really what I mean is intentionality with my health. I'm talking about mental health. That's where the meditation comes in for me. Mental health could be meditation, could be therapy, could be taking time away from my phone, my nomophobia.
Yeah.
Could be taking just solo days, weekends, moments by myself, whatever it is. Or just finding things that fill me up, which if you've listened to the show, you know that I struggle with that. But having a healthy meditation practice would be great for me. If I'm breaking it down in ways that I can do that, I would start by saying, like, I want to make sure that I get up like a half hour early twice this week in order to just sit and be still. Like, that's really reasonable. Having a better meditation practice or whatever is not a really attainable goal.
Yeah.
But for me, it would start there.
Okay.
You know, it would start with silence and meditation in the morning, probably yoga, and then probably Peloton. Like, that would be my steps right there.
Okay.
I have a couple more on this list, but do you have any that you want to talk about?
Go for it. I'll talk about.
Okay, sure. So the
I
next
have a
one,
word of the year
oh,
for
good.
myself.
Good. I can't wait to hear that.
Good.
I haven't been able to boil it down to a word yet.
Got it.
That's like
I
a
wonder
tricky
if mine
part for
will
me.
encompass yours.
And I bet it will, because it often does. But I bet that's also part of the reason why we weren't able to do it in Hawaii last year, is because it does take a lot of thinking of how can we boil this down to be what it is.
Yeah.
Next, this was a big one that you pushed me towards, but writing book 1 of the Up All Night Diner.
Yes.
Up All Night
I'm
Diner.
very excited about it.
I know. I am too. It is kind of coming together. It started off as a story, much like probably many of you have in your life, where it was a bedtime story that you told your kids or your parents told you or whatever. And Brooklyn and I have really just built out this really fun world of the Up All Night Diner, which I won't totally get into, but we've also got just a really great friend of ours, Christy, who is an incredible artist.
Check out her page from Pen to Paper Studios.
Yeah, on Instagram from Pen to Paper Studios. I'm looking to tap into her abilities to try to build this out a little bit. And so for me, the goal could have been like write the Up All Night Diner, but right now it's like write the first book.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not even get the first book out and published.
Yeah, just write it.
Like I think I'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
But even just putting pen on paper, which I've done as well, but really like nailing it down.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And I said what I said earlier because Kelly really pushed me towards doing this maybe a month or so ago. Kelly has to hear a million of my ideas every single week. Because I have so much stuff that I just like to think through and talk about out loud that I don't pull the trigger on. Because at some point I'm like, and that's where it gets impossible. And then it goes away. And so she listens a lot.
All the time.
Yes.
Because I love you.
And usually doesn't, go hard one way or the other. This one, though, the other day, she's like, this is a good idea. And it's not the first time she'd heard it, but she's like, I honestly think you should do this. And it was cool just to have a little bit of that support was like, okay, well then, maybe I will. Maybe I will do that. Maybe I will.
And just so you know, for me, you have such an entrepreneurial spirit that you talk about stuff all the time. For me, I do think you have a lot of good ideas, but I know that you can only spread yourself so thin before I start losing time with you or Brooklyn starts losing time with you. I'm not willing to do that. Because if you did everything that you said, you would never be home.
True.
But
that's the
sometimes I wait to see how often you talk about something. Like, are you passionate about it, or is it just
a way to make
just
money?
or is it just like an in the moment thing? Like this would be a good idea, but you haven't really thought about it. Up All Night Diner, you and Brooklyn have been doing for a year and a half.
Oh gosh, years.
Yeah, for
longer.
a long time, and you've talked about it, and I've said multiple times that I think it's a good idea. But for some reason, 2 months ago when I said it, it's like the first time you really heard me be passionate about it. Like, yes, you should do this.
Yeah,
I'm glad because I do truly think it'll be really great.
Good. Well, thank you for that. And your support and enthusiasm pushes me closer and closer to the finish line. So thank you.
Good.
The last one that I have on this list, and I'm sure there'll be more as we talk, the last one for me is put together a pitch deck for a new show and to pitch a new show to networks. It's something I've already been talking to talking about with my hosting agent. And then another, I mentioned it in our Top Knots episode when Corey and I got to get together in October to give away money to do that thing for Kia. It just got all of those juices flowing. And sometimes when you just get a creative partner to bounce ideas off of and go back and forth with, it really takes that fire from a spark to a full blown fire. And he's excited about some things. I'm excited about some things. With our powers combined, I really think we can put together a couple good shows and start pitching. And I told him, and for those of you who don't know how the industry works, just pitching a show doesn't mean really anything. It's an accomplishment to have done, but it doesn't mean anything. You pitch your first show so that maybe your 10th show can get picked up.
Yeah.
And you put everything into your first through 9th pitch and 10th pitch. You as if every show is going to take off, and it's a no, or better in some cases and worse in other cases that your show might get bought by a network and get buried and you never see it. There's so many things that can happen.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm excited about all the no's because you got to get all the no's in order to be playing the game at all.
Yeah, that's
you can't
true.
be a baseball player and expect to never swing at a ball and miss.
Yeah.
You're not going to hit a home run every time. You got to take some at bats. But if you're not striking out, you're not even in the game.
That's true.
To continue the metaphor, sports metaphor.
Sports.
Anyway, so that was my other one, is to put together a pitch deck for a new show, and to pitch that show would be a stretch goal. What about you? What's your word?
So I do have a word for the year, and I do think that most of your things fall underneath there. And I think when I say it, you'll be like, yeah. My word of the year is routines. It's a year of routines for me.
Yeah.
Did I nail it?
It's great. I mean, it's what you and I have been talking about off air for a long time.
Yeah.
Routines and boundaries.
Yeah. This year was an interesting year for me because it was my first full year owning my own business. And the one thing, it was cool because I was figuring stuff out and doing stuff on my own pace and yada, yada, yada. But what I realized and what I think I started expressing to you was like, I don't have a routine, because my routine used to be wake up in the morning, watch a show while I put my makeup and get my hair done, go to work. At work, I have a very specific routine.
Yeah.
Get a coffee, check my work week, make sure I'm set up for the day, prepare for my day, and then do my work week. And I would make a work week at the end or at some point during the week for the following week, and make sure all my meetings were set up and make sure my time was separated correctly. And I haven't done that. Well, so I'm missing out on not just that routine, but that's a big routine for me, is like my work schedule, our eating schedule. Like, what are we making in the house?
So I want to hear like the list as you keep going. I just wanted to throw this out there. You and I sit in a very privileged position in that we don't have a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Like, we work a lot, but we don't go in every day, day in and day out, working for someone else and dealing with customers and all that kind of stuff. The flip side of that is you don't have the routine and you don't have the structure, and it is just left to you and your own discipline. To figure it out, to get it done. Thankfully, we always get it done, but maybe it's the way I'm wired. Maybe it's the way we are wired, is that we do well with structure. Yeah. And I think what's interesting rather is like, you left your 9-to-5 roughly a year and a half ago. And I'm sure at the beginning it was like, I can do whatever, all this stuff. Yeah. But then the longer you're in it, and again, I know this is a privileged position to be sitting in, but the more you're in it, the more things start to, I equate it to this, is imagine if, you may have seen in a movie or at Disneyland or something, like someone who's holding and selling balloons. They've got like 100 balloons.
Oh yeah, but they can always get out the one.
Oh, that's a good metaphor too.
Oh, sorry.
But if you're holding it like at the very end of the ribbon that it's held, like the balloons are really spread out, they're kind of floating off and stuff, and it's not until you take that, like the ribbons, all of them together, and you pull them down so that your hand is closer to where the balloons are, that they all start to tighten up and get into where they're supposed to be, and they're not all just floating in the ether. Sometimes it's like that, where we have to just take those ribbons and pull it down and just get everything focused, everything in one spot, because without that structure, it's kind of just floating in the atmosphere. And it can be like that in life.
Yep. And that's exactly what I think I've felt like at times during this year. And I'm pretty I would say, and you probably agree, you can tell me if I'm not, I would say I'm pretty organized. Like when it comes to stuff, I really like lists. I really have a lot of like stuff on our drive that keeps us really organized. I use the calendar. Like I feel very day sheets, like all the things. I feel very organized. But I'm not always good at setting aside time to do the extra things that maybe I want to do, like updating my website.
Right.
Like it's something that I probably need, but like it's been more of a want. And so it's kind of on the back burner, and I don't really make the time for it. So it's things like that, like making routines to have an ideal work week for myself. Like, what does that look like? And what does it look like when we have Brooklyn versus when we don't have Brooklyn? And do we have to always go together to drop her off and to pick her up? Which we're learning. We don't have to. We just like being with each other all the time. But it is an hour plus of our time.
It's an hour and a half every morning.
An hour and a half every morning and every afternoon to go and get her and do that. It just takes away from something else. And it gives back time with our daughter, but she's mostly doing homework in the car anyway.
Yeah, we've gotten a good routine there.
Yeah. So I think for me, figuring out routines with work stuff, with meal prep and food schedules. I'm trying to get better on that with exercise with like
even relationships.
Yeah.
With our family and time with them.
Yeah. Like, and even us and date nights and things that we do with B, you know?
I'm not doing date nights.
Yeah.
I love date nights.
I know. And even like spring cleaning, so to speak, like,
oh yeah.
And it's not spring cleaning, but how do we have routines and like, not just when we feel like it or bursts, but like, we clean the mirrors in the bathroom every week. And it's a chore that Brooklyn has. I don't really know, but like trying to figure out more of that stuff so that we have more of a routine, and that it's not just like, oh, I'm going to clean today because I want to.
Right. I think
does that make sense?
Totally. Okay. The way that we're wired, and I bet many people watching and listening can relate to this, is our attention is pulled in so many different directions on any given day that sometimes things have to get to a certain point before we change them. Yeah. We're like, our house looks like an Amazon warehouse. We've got to get these boxes out or whatever it is, you know? Yeah. And I think that can be part of our downfall.
Yeah.
Is that we can back burner certain things until it's like, oh my gosh, we have to figure that
Yeah.
out. What I do know is some people do that with relationships and even their partners
Yeah,
in
and we don't.
marriages. And I'm really glad, that's not our issue.
Yeah, it's just that we run 2 businesses out of our home.
Yeah, and have a family.
And all
lots
things,
of other stuff. But routines are going to be key for us this year.
Yeah. And to tie it all back into like a why resolution. I don't remember what the question was. Why resolutions? Or do resolutions matter?
Do they matter? Yeah.
Yeah. I think for us they do. And like, but I work better within words like this.
Yeah.
Because I also think to pick one thing or to like make a list of 3 things, it can feel like for me at the end of the year, like, man, I didn't really accomplish that as more things come up and things change, because things change. Especially when you own your own business, especially when you have a kid, like things just change.
Yeah.
So being able to have words helps me, because I go, yes, my whole theme of the year is going to be routines. So what does that look like? And guess what? If something else gets thrown at us, it doesn't matter what that is, because it's still going to fall within my resolution of routine. How do I make that thing into a routine?
Right.
If we have to do soccer again, okay, what's the routine that's revolved around soccer? Every time Brooklyn goes, I'm going to read a book while I sit and watch her do that. But then it's something for me,
Yeah.
versus like, oh, now I got to take her to soccer 3 times a week. Great.
Yeah. And, it can really change your perspective on things too.
Yeah.
If you got to go to soccer 3 times a week, now rather than being like, so much of my time to do something I don't even like, it's like, well, I'm going to read my book 3 times a week.
During that time, yeah.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
It's just a shift in perspective.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's my word of the year. I would love to hear what everyone else's words of the year is, or what their resolutions are if people would like to share. But that's kind of where I'm at this year, is trying to give good, healthy routines to my life and hopefully bring you along with it. And honestly, for Brooklyn too.
Yeah.
To create some good routines for her. And she'll be 9, which is insane to think about. But
yeah. And she does so much better with structure.
she's always done better with routines and structure. But to really, for us, I think if the more we can stick to routines, the more that she can too.
Yeah.
But like getting her into some really good routines, not just with school, but with her like life too. Like,
yeah,
she always feels like she's cleaning at both of her I'm always cleaning up my room at Mom and Pop's house and always here.
Well,
it's like, how do we teach
clean
her
as
some
you go,
good
lady.
routine? But you know what I mean? How do we teach her some good routines too, so she doesn't get overwhelmed?
True.
Anyway,
one of the cool things about having a word for the year, or a concept, or a phrase, whatever you want to do, as maybe you're considering doing this, which would be awesome, but do what you want. You're an adult. I don't care. It's fine. Do it or don't.
but we do care about you.
That's true. Well, not you.
But you.
Yeah. Anyway, it gives you a little bit of a framework in terms of when something comes up that you have the choice to do or not do. Someone asks you to go do something or come with them somewhere, or I don't know, we'll take that as an example. You can run it through. Does it fit within my word? Does it fit within my phrase? I was talking with Jen from NTI a couple of years ago, and she's like, I think it was a month. She's like, we did a yes month, where anytime someone asked us something, we just said, yep. Hey, we're going out in 10 minutes. Do you guys want to come? Yep. And,
Wow.
And for them, they had said, like, we're going to say yes to whatever happens. So you filter all the things through it. For us, let's say we go back to expand that year. If someone's asking us to do something like an obligation, hey, can you fly out and do this thing?
We're probably saying yes.
Probably, because we'd go, does it fit within our word expand? Most of the time, in this case scenario, yes. But sometimes, in terms of work, it might be a gig that never has gone anywhere, is not going anywhere, not leading to anything else, and it's a gig we've maybe not even really been wanting to do. Does that fall within our word of expand?
No.
And if it doesn't, then it's easier to say no. It's not necessarily easier for the person to understand that, for the person on the other side to understand it, but it gives you a little bit of a parameter to be able to say yes or no to certain things, and might allow the push you need to say no to things that don't fit in, not just a word. What it's about is it doesn't fit in with the life that you want to have.
Yeah.
So it gives you a framework in order to say yes or no to the things that serve you and the things that don't. So I think that's really cool. Yeah. So our word for this year is routines.
You like it?
I love it.
Perfect.
Obviously, we're on the same page.
Same page.
How could we not?
We're always there.
But for y'all listening or watching at home, if you want to pick a word, go through it. Write down a bunch of the stuff that you want to make changes on, to look different in your life, and then see if you can find a word to categorize that.
Yeah.
It could just be getting better. It could be, healthier, health. It could be a lot of different things.
Anything you want it to be.
Anything that you want it to be, just don't harm children.
Yeah. And don't forget, like, a New Year's resolution, resolutions aren't set in stone.
Yeah.
That's why I like words, like I said, because it helps me keep on track with that. But like, if you fall off the resolution and you get away from it, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just jump back on whenever you can, whenever you're healthy and fit and good, prepared to do that again, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's why it resonates with me as well, because I am a words person. I was a words of affirmation person for a long time. Like, tell me I'm pretty.
You're pretty.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I still do tell people, like, affirm people a lot, but I don't need the affirmation as much. But words are important to me. And I think that's why, to put a bow on this, that's why resolutions don't do anything for me. I don't like the root of the word. I resolve to do so. It's like, I have decided and this is me now.
Yeah.
And I think some people thrive in that and they need that
That's okay. It's
type
right
of definitiveness. I'm not that way. I am a, like, did you do your best kind of person?
Yeah.
And so I like things when they're a little bit more fluid. I like results and I like being excellent at the things that I do.
Yes.
But if I'm like, I resolve to be this, the moment I'm not that is a failure to me.
Yeah.
And it's super, super discouraging.
It's hard.
So picking a word to have a parameter rather than a resolution might serve you better. So are resolutions, what's the point of them? Are they still worth doing? No. But finding ways to make your life better. Absolutely. And I hope this conversation pushed you towards that.
Yeah.
That's it for the second episode of Hardly Working Through It.
Woo!
We got more coming at you next week with 2 brand new episodes. But until then, I hope your 2024 is off to an amazing start.
Yeah.
And if it's not, it's going to get better.
Yeah. There's still time.
Enjoy your life. Remember, it's the whole point of this. Just enjoy your life, enjoy yourself, and spend most of your time hardly working. Through it.
Through it.
We love you guys. I love you.
I love you.
We love you.
Bye.
Bye.